Hello everyone, my name is John Rotz and I'm with Unity Consulting. Now you might be asking yourself, that's not Kathy, and you're right, it's not Kathy. I'm her husband. And so she is taking a reprieve from doing videos for a little while, and she allowed me to get on the camera for a little bit. And I really wanted to get in front of the camera to talk about a topic that we've really poured a lot of effort and a lot of energy into, a lot of intellect into it. And that's our focus-driven leadership model. Something that we've been pouring into, creating a program for leaders who are struggling. Leaders who don't even realize that they are struggling. We wanted to create a platform that walk them through this journey because we work with a lot of leaders. And you know, after a while you start hearing the same things over and over again. I believe that success leaves clues and that there's patterns for everything. Leadership is no different. So what we hear from a lot of leaders are things like, I did my job really, really well, and I was promoted to becoming a leader over a line, whether it's a supervisor, a line lead, or a manager, or whatever the title is, and into a position that I didn't know much about. For years, I was good at producing a tool or producing a number or making a call or whatever it may be. But now I find myself leading a team and I don't have a lot of tools or a lot of knowledge on how to lead that team. So Kathy and I, we decided that, you know what, let's help. Let's create a program. And the focus-driven leadership model, I get excited when I get talking about this because the more we dive into this model, the more breadth and life it has. It is a very dynamic model that moves with us as we climb the rung of the ladder. And that's the image that we created, was a leadership ladder. And if you think about the very first thing, all right, I wanted to start off by going from doer to a leader. A doer is someone who might be a subject matter expert and they're great at it and they've separated themselves from the other people on the line. They were the best ones. So what happens is we tend to elevate that person who does their job really good into a leadership role. So think about that. Problem number one. That is an issue because what I've done for a long time and I do really well, it's no longer required of me to do that anymore, or at least to that capacity. Now I have to make sure other people do it to a very high capacity and level. Yet that's not what got me promoted, is my leadership skills. This is what the focus-driven leadership model, or what we call the Midwest Leadership Academy. That's what we do there. And real briefly, the rungs of the ladder are transactional. You think about the very first rung is, now I am a leader by title. And I had a mentor several times tell me, leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. And if I first become a model by title only, manager, store lead, line lead, whatever that may be, that title doesn't come with a lot of influence. It comes with some authority, but not a lot of influence. And so my influence rises and falls on this one thought. You have to do what I tell you to because those are the rules. That's what I'm the boss. I run the show. You got to do what I tell you to do. And there's never going to be much influence in that situation. But you also separated yourself from the masses. Congratulations, you're now in a leadership role. We just need to continue to hone that craft in, to learn more skills. That's what the Academy teaches us, is okay, at this level, it's great. You're now entering into the world of leadership. So here are some tools for you to take with you to increase your leadership, increase the results that come with it. One of the things that Kathy and I first learned when we started the focus-driven leadership model. I spoke about that just a few minutes ago, about how dynamic and how it takes on its own breath of life, and it just kind of moves as we teach more, is how we spend time at each rung of the ladder. We might develop a very high level of leadership, but there are times where we have to go back down to that first rung that I was talking about, transaction. When a process is new, when we have deadlines, when there's a lot of stress, when policies and procedures change, that level is pretty good. But I have a saying that says, we want to climb the ladder and each one is valuable. But are you climbing or are you camping? Are you staying at that level? So the first rung is transactional. The second rung of the ladder is trust. And that's where we develop a relationship with our team. You are now invited to lead me. I know your character. I know what you stand for. You operate with integrity. I like you, so now I'm going to allow you to lead me. I'm going to trust in your leadership capabilities. So right away on the second rung, you start to see influence increase a lot. But there's always some concerns there, you can't camp at that trust. And here's the epiphany that I had in this rung. Is for the longest time, and I've been part of teaching leaders, I've been in leadership roles for many, many years. I don't want to tell you how many because that'll tell you how old I am, but for a lot of years, I have been around leadership. And I thought trust was a finish line that we want to get to. That once we have established trust, man, that's all we need to do. We're going to start hitting on all cylinders and everything's going to be perfect. We'll be tiptoeing through the tulips. But that's not the case. In fact, specifically, I'm going to just give you a little bit of insight. When we teach on this trust rung, we talk about the comfort trap. A trap is like a hidden thing that exists that might be in our blind spot that we don't have an awareness of, but we better learn how to deal with it. The comfort trap comes in that I trust you now. We now know where we're at in the hierarchy. You know what is expected of you. Here are the standards by which we operate. And then after a period of time, because we have a bond together, I stop checking in on you. I stop checking the pulse of your growth. And the moment that happens, the moment we take our foot off the throttle, we start getting comfortable and stop doing what it was for us to establish trust. Can be really important, can be a vital thing for us to understand, is the comfort trap within the trust rung. The third rung is traction. Traction comes after we've learned how to navigate that new thing called leadership, where we've been able to develop a nice rapport and trust with our team. And now traction is when we start popping, when there's a synergy. I always talk about how transactional rungs have movement. Traction rungs gain momentum. And there's a big difference. And that's what we're going to spend a lot of time learning about on the traction rung. It's not about movement anymore. It's about momentum. And you think about that when you work for a leader who's great at what they do and they're leading teams and they're winning and they're meeting the numbers and the production is skyrocketing and everyone feels good about where they are, what they're doing, their roles on the team. We talk about unity, the very word that we name our company after, unity. When you experience unity in this traction rung, if one cow can pull 2,000 pounds and two cows can pull 8,000 pounds, and if they know each other, they're a matched pair, you can pull up to 24,000 pounds in sheer synergy and unity. Think about that from a leadership perspective. Think about that from a company perspective. When the team gels together in synergy and they experience unity, now you've got a very, very powerful company. And as a leader, It is your responsibility to maintain that and to raise up on the next rung. So the next rung is my favorite rung, and I alone could spend all my time talking about this rung, and it's my transfer rung. I love the transfer rung because on that rung, it's no longer about watching out for your team, like you're the leader over your team to make sure you're meeting the numbers and you've got the trust and you can have healthy conflict and everything. You still have to do all that, but now we've elevated to where I am transferring every single bit of my knowledge onto my team. I'm developing them. I'm investing all of my knowledge into my team so that influence doesn't end when I'm outside the door, when I'm in another office, when I'm in another location. I've invested all of my knowledge into my team so that we begin to reproduce great leaders. We always talk about this in industry. How deep is your bench? How deep is your leadership bench? And I live on this rung with an image that a great leader knows how to lead in the front of the room. When the students are looking up at the front of the room and you've got some person teaching them or guiding them through an obstacle course or adversity or whatever it may be, challenges. But then an exceptional leader begins to go closer to the back of the room and he allows or she allows another person to lead from the front of the room. I always call that back of the room leading, is because no longer when you're on this transfer rung, do you have to be the one that's being seen. You have developed others that are able to lead from the front of the room. And now you don't just have additional leaders. Man, influence begins to multiply, and so does leaders within the company. Transfer rung is a fantastic rung to be on. But again, we don't want to camp. We want to strive for excellence, and that brings us to the last rung. And the last rung is transcendence. That is where I heard a mentor one time tell me they don't just change companies, they change industries. They are fantastic because it's created a legacy within the community, and not just within the walls of the company, but for the community. What you've done to be successful is now imprinted into the culture of many companies, not just your own. And it is done through one word, and that's through discipline. Discipline over a consistent time frame. This is how industries get changed. And yes, it is the best. It's the top rung. But if we're not careful, even if we're able to achieve it, which is so rare when you think about great leaders in the past in multiple industries, it is a very rare thing to have. But we can't get comfortable. Abraham Lincoln one time said, if I had an hour to cut a tree down, I'm going to spend the first 55 minutes sharpening my axe. Because he knew a sharp tool would get the job done well and better. Regardless of what rung that you find yourself on, which, by the way, we have a leadership assessment tool that you can take for free on our website, unityconsultingllc.com. It'll pop right up and you can find out where you fall on these rungs. So we don't want to get comfortable in any rung. We want to always continue to achieve more. We fluctuate throughout the day and throughout our careers on what is required from us. We could be on trust one day, the transfer the next, traction the next. So I encourage you to go out to the website, take a look at the focus-driven leadership model. Get intrigued by it. Give us a call. We'd love to have a conversation with you. Find out if this Leadership Academy is a right fit for you, because we'd love to take this journey with you and begin to pour into you and teach you in our community. And yes, that's right. We have a community where it's not just you and me talking. We have a community of like-minded people that are pressing forth to be the best version of themselves. Will you join us?
I hope this topic has challenged you to think differently as you strive to grow from success to world class. Please follow this podcast. Share it with your friends and follow me and Unity Consulting on all social platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and our website, unityconsultingllc.com. I look forward to connecting with you next time to challenge your habits so that you are more efficient and fully empowered.